The streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
What's going on? You hear me? Damn, I could got the NWO Young Bucks. Damn, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Wait, there we go.
There we go.
You know what's funny? Wait, I think I've been on mute this whole time talking to myself.
I love the Young Bucks shirt. I love it.
Live YouTube. I love this. This is great. So I started the show. I had this whole speech for the first minute and a half that no one probably heard at all. So they won 82-79. It was a game that they needed to win. They needed this win. Sabrina Ionescu actually looked like Sabrina Ionescu today. And so she had double-digit points. I think it might have been her first time in weeks. She had double-digit points.
Definitely the first time in her life that she looked productive. Yeah,
and it's funny because I was saying in the beginning that no one heard how you had Benijah Laney playing really well. She got to the All-Star team this year. We'll talk about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Sammy Wickham, great free agent pickup. That worked out for him. But besides that, there was really nothing else going on. But it seemed like today they finally got a total team effort to get the win.
Yeah. And definitely shout out Jasmine Jones. She was the spark plug that started the comeback. Because there was many times in that game I wanted to text you. I was like, there goes the Liberty, going to lose another one. And it was pretty much the Tina Charles show for 3 quarters. Shout out to the Liberty giving a great video tribute out there. That was nice of them considering she never played at Barclays for the Liberty. But that was really good. But it really was a team effort, like you said. Like I said, there was so many times in that game I was ready to write them off, but they found a way to fought out of that 20-point hole, and they won.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I was watching the game. You mentioned in text that Tina Charles put on a free throw, and you said that, and I watched that Magic moment last night, the Atlanta Magic.
I watched it last night too.
So when he said that, like Nick Anderson, ooh yeah. So I think it was those 2 missed free throws she had.
Yep.
And it was an offensive foul also.
Yep.
So Tina Charles, listen, 31 points, 16 rebounds, but in the clutch, didn't get the job done.
Yep.
So going in, what are your thoughts? You saw them live today. I know they've been away for a while. They had that really long West Coast trip. You saw them today. What are your thoughts about them right now? Because we say every week how they're still trying to figure out who they are. They're still a really young team. But what are your thoughts after seeing them today?
They're playing a lot better. I think they're still trying to figure things out because there were stretches in the game where the coach couldn't take out Jasmine Jones. And I know he wanted to take her out and bring in Sinescu back early, but he couldn't do it because she was the only thing offensively moving in the third quarter. So I think they're still trying to feel themselves. Shout out to everybody in the press row with me because everybody had the same thoughts. Like, man, if Stokes was in this game, they would really lost. But other than that, I really feel like they're starting to gel a little bit. And like you said, I think this is a win that can catapult them at least for the next 2 weeks down the stretch, at least until the next game against the Wings, which I think they should probably win that one on Monday.
Yeah, the thing of the Wings, they've been on TV a lot, Dallas Wings.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed, and I think we said this on draft night, when they had I think they had the first and second pick, and I think they had like the 7th or 8th pick.
Yeah.
So we knew coming the season that the Wings were going to be really young, but they're playing they're playing beyond expectation. So in hindsight, it should be a win, but then the Liberty they play down. So it could be an L too.
Yeah.
So shout out to the rookie. I don't pronounce her name. I'm gonna try it. I've been avoiding this the entire season. Michaela Alinwele. I think that's how to pronounce her name. Rookie of the week for WNBA. Benijah Laney, WNBA All-Star, the only All-Star selection for the Liberty right now. She's got to hold this team together. Without Ionescu, there's really been nothing else besides Laney this entire season right now.
Yeah, totally agree. She had another solid game today. So yeah, you're absolutely right. She's been holding it down, and as Ionescu goes, if she comes together, I think the team has something here because a lot of the guards to pair with her as well in the front court. I think they're onto something here at the Liberties. I think they're about to turn the corner.
Well, you said Jasmine Jones. She played 21 minutes. Sabrina played 26. Sammy Wincombe 30. Laney played 36. And then Michaela played 31. There's a rotation of 9, and I think he can go deeper. I think Walt Hopkins probably doesn't want to go deeper than 9. But if Ionescu is still not right, do you think he needs to extend that bench, or do you think Jasmine Jones can take a lot of those minutes that maybe you might have to take away from Sabrina?
I think today's game is probably a hindsight of that. I think Jasmine will probably get more of those minutes going down the stretch. I think she was only averaging like 5 points a game up until today. So I think she showed a little grit, so she might be in line for some more playing time.
And the Mystics, listen, besides Tina Charles, she was the only player to score in double digits for the Mystics today. She had 31. The next high scorer was 2 players with 9. Obviously, they're missing Elena Deladon. Obviously, that's the major missing piece they have. You know, can this team really make a run with Tina Charles kind of being the only piece on this team doing anything?
I think today's game kind of exploited them a little bit, whereas they were up big, but once you saw that the game started to press and they couldn't hit no one else could hit a bucket, and Tina's only as good as she is in the paint, they need another go-to option. So I think this, in hindsight, it might be hindering them towards the playoff run.
Yeah, looking at the playoff situation right now, the Mystics are in 9th. The Liberty 9-9, they're in 6th in the standings. Aces, Storm, they're tied for 1st in the league, and every week I feel like the Aces and Storm kind of flip-flop the number 1 spot in the league, and I think for good reason. I really do think of all the teams, they're the 2 best teams, and I feel like you really can't choose one or the other. I feel like you're good either way.
Yeah, either way, as long as as long as they got Wilson and Cambridge on the Vegas side, they're going to be tough to beat, man. That 2-headed monster is tough.
Yeah, in Seattle, listen, Sue Bird, the
Bird,
vet, she's like Tom Brady. She's ageless, still plays hard. Brianna Stewart, busting her ass, coming off that Achilles from last year. She looks, I think from game 1, I was shocked how good she looked. Kind of like Kevin Durant. I was shocked how good she really looked at the beginning. Chicago Sky, they're moving up. They're now 10-9. They're in the 5th spot. Minnesota 8-7. I think they have a couple games they got to make up. I think towards the end of the season, if they even get to make those up. Connecticut Sun 12-6. I want to go to the bottom for a second because I was not expecting, especially with the draft that they had, and then adding someone like Amanda Zawi B. LA 6-10. I'm of the mind where, and this is, I'm putting my Nick head on for a second. Maybe Derek Fisher's not a good coach.
Maybe you think.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of Derek Fisher and maybe Candace was onto something and wanted to leave. You never know.
Well, listen, and we had that whole thing last year with the Sparks with Fisher, and I think it was like an assistant or a GM or someone. They kind of started a rebuild. They got our girl from Rutgers, but they just don't. It's not gelling. And I know you rarely see a mid-season coaching replacement in a WNBA, but it might be time for that. It might be time to pull the trigger on that one.
Well, either that, I mean, no rush to get Derek Fisher on an assistant job in the NBA, but yeah, something with the Sparks that just seem totally off. I want to put it on the coach because the talent is there. So I think he's not really maximizing their efforts.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think he's a good coach. I think he was picked up because of the LA connection,
right?
Being a former Laker, and Michael Cooper is the coach of the Sparks. I feel like they want to try to keep it all in house and keep it in that Laker LA family, but 6-10 is not working. Like, you get it done. And Indiana 2-16, they're just out of it, so we ain't gonna talk about Indiana fever. So Liberty, big win today. Shout out to them. Hopefully Sabrina becomes Sabrina again, because they're really banking on that right now. So big story today, this week, Chris Paul finally gets to his NBA Finals. Listen, he went for the kill. Game 6 on the road. He knows he had to take it. He didn't want a Game 7 back home with the Clippers, who've been through this 2 other times, this playoffs. And Chris Paul kind of went for the kill and put him over the top. What are your thoughts about Chris Paul going to the NBA Finals?
It's well overdue. And, people are trying to say that, he had the easy route in terms of all the breakage, in terms of player injury. But if you look at his career, he was the one that was snake bitten many times in the postseason. So he finally got his due. I think Phoenix is going to be a tough out for whoever they play in the finals. But talk about what a difference a year makes from the bubble darlings who didn't make the playoff to now the Western Conference champs. It's remarkable. And it all goes to Chris Paul, who kind of did the same thing with the Thunder last year. He refused to let them be a lottery team, so he got them in the playoffs. This man's a leader, man. I feel like if he gets this ring, we have to put him up there in the top 4 point guards of all time.
Yeah, it's weird because going into Game 6, I was thinking, here we go. Once the Clippers got Game 5, like, here we go. It's going to happen again. And you kind of saw early on, I think DeAndre Ayton, they let him eat early and said, we're going to give it to you early. The Clippers made that run third quarter into fourth quarter, and I think that's when Chris Paul took over. I'm watching this game, and I'm looking at their up and down their roster, and even their bench, which is like okay. I think in spurts at certain points, I think Cameron Payne can do work. I think Dario Saric still has something in him. I think Javon Carter. I think all those guys in spurts are good, but when you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, who can still give you 25, 30 good minutes, if those guys are clicking, you win. If Chris Paul's really clicking, he had 41, you're gonna blow the team out.
Absolutely.
And I think the East, which we'll talk about in a second, because that game's tonight, in the East, no matter if it's Atlanta or Milwaukee, I don't think none of those teams could beat Phoenix right now. I think if you put the rosters up side by side, Atlanta or Milwaukee against Phoenix, they lose in 5, possibly 6.
Not even the Bucks. To me, it's if Giannis is healthy, no one's beating the Bucks.
See, and I think that's the caveat. Giannis is healthy. Even if he comes back, let's say Milwaukee wins tonight, they advance. Even if he plays game 1, he's not going to be 100%. He might not be 80. He might be 60%. So you're playing at a disadvantage. But I think you could man up Jay Crowder with Giannis, or just let Giannis do what he does and just shut everybody else down.
It's funny you mentioned about Phoenix, where their bench is really suspect. This is probably going to be the first finals where neither team has a great bench, because Atlanta doesn't have a great bench, and neither does, well, especially now with Lou starting with Trae Young hurt. So now Atlanta's bench is depleted a little bit, but the Bucks, they have no bench whatsoever. So this might be the first finals where we have it's all about the starters.
Yeah, who's the point guard for Milwaukee? Bryn
Bledsoe?
Forbes? Blue Forbes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Forbes.
Forbes. And then besides Forbes, I'm trying to think who else. I know DiVincenzo's out.
Is Porter considered their
Portis is the bench. And I said it when the series started. He was an X factor. Without Giannis, 22-9.
Yeah, he had to step it up.
So, Coach Budenholzer, if you're watching in pregame, watching us right now on YouTube, you need to play Bobby Portis a little bit more. Just put it out there. Just saying, just put it out there. But I think right now the Suns, and if I had to put, I'm gonna put money on it because I love FanDuel now.
Shout out to Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny. I work in a summer camp during the day, right across the border into Rockland County, like 2 minutes over the border, and I know I'm not in New Jersey because that app don't work. I'm like, shit. Damn it! There's a game on right now. Right now, my money's on Phoenix to win. No matter if Atlanta or Milwaukee comes out, I think Phoenix wins the championship right now. No ifs, ands, or buts. Do you agree?
I can see it. Yeah, I agree. You know how much faith I have in the Bucks.
None.
And Atlanta's not ready yet for that spotlight. So yeah, I think this is Chris Paul. He has that killer instinct. Even if they're down, he will not let them lose. And they're loaded with weapons.
So here's a question I think now, and you see the Suns owner, Robert Sarver, who is just known to be a cheapskate. That's what he does. That's who he is. Chris Paul's going to demand $40 million, probably. Ayton's going to be up soon. Mikal Bridges will be up soon, right? I don't think not this year, but I think probably next year. Mm-hmm. What do you do now? Because Chris Paul, do you let it ride out till he's 40 years old? What do you do with DeAndre Ayton? Because these playoffs, and maybe it could be a Bismack Biyombo thing where he's playing well now to get the money. Where would you take it in negotiations with Chris Paul and saying, we want you back, but where would you go here?
See, this is where I'm a little scared because I'm a Knicks fan, and all the ties point towards Leon Rose probably want to overpay. So whatever's in Phoenix head of what they want to pay, the Knicks are probably gonna 25% more than that. So I think I would say just give him a 3-year deal, option year for the third, and let him retire as a Sun. I think for the Suns, it's in their best interest because the moment he goes, so do them. They become, back to the mid-tier team in the West. But you did get if you get a championship, you did get it kind of like Toronto. So it's all depending where you want to stand with Chris Paul, who will have suitors. If not the Knicks, it'll be someone else. But I really think the Knicks will overpay for him, and that could be problematic. So I think I would try to negotiate somewhere along the 35 mil.
So I'm bringing up their contract situations now. So if he says, you know what, I want, he's making 41 this year, the option for 44 next year. I'm pretty sure he'll probably take the option. I'm assuming he would, or opt out. I want 45 per for 3 years. And Sarver's like, nope, not interested. Do you think that could they stop, same team, all 14 guys are there, Chris Paul's not there. Could they possibly stopgap it with a Rondo, with a Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry, and still be this good? Or you think this is all Chris Paul right now?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's I want to say it's 55-45 Chris Paul. I think if you put someone else in there, they'll still be good, but they won't be, because the Warriors are coming back next year.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are coming back next year. I think Dallas makes an upgrade. Denver's coming back. So you'll probably be in the middle 3, 4, 5-ish in the West. And as a possible defending champion, do you really want that? I don't want to see the Suns become the 2011 Mavericks where they didn't even think about running it back one year. You know what I mean? They were one and done champs and that was it. So I want to see the Suns be competitive again. I want to see them keep Chris Paul. and I don't want the Knicks to spend that kind of money on him.
So right now, Devin Booker, he's signed through 23-24, 31 next year, 33 the following year, 36 the year after. DeAndre Ayton's kind of the wild card, $12 million next year, team option for 16 the following year. And then the rest of the way, Jay Crowder, 9 and 10. Sarge is 8.5, 9.2. Mikal Bridges is 5.5 and then a team option 7.5. In reality, there are contracts to be moved if you need to. Jay Crowder is a friendly contract. Dario Saric is a friendly contract. If you really get desperate, Mikal Bridges is a good contract to move too. So it's possible, like you said. I think you're right. I think they kind of need to run this back and go, you know what? We need to do this again. If we win it this year, let's go for the repeat. Like, why not? And your main guys, for the most part, they're all coming back. You have your bench is a little depleted because there's no one on the contract. You can piecemeal, especially a better bench than what you have now.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely put another bench together. But I think if you keep Paul, Booker, Ayton, Bridges, you're straight. I think you're good for at least another 2 to possibly 3 years.
Yeah, those guys are so young. It's easy to run it back. It's all about how much you're willing to pay Chris Paul, who has all the leverage right now.
Which, God, I love sports now because I love seeing the owner squirm because the players know their worth. The players know, like, you need me more than I need you. I can leave here and get paid someplace else. So it is what it is to me.
And what makes it worse is the young guys behind them, Booker and Ayton, they'll see what's going on. They'll just want to opt out in a couple of years. So you definitely got to be careful how you play this.
So while the Suns are home waiting for the end of the Eastern Conference Finals, tonight is Game 6 in the ATL. Bucks visits Atlanta. Trae Young will play tonight. He will give it a go tonight. Giannis is out. So Trae.
Look at that Game 7.
Yeah, probably. I mean, listen, I think where would you put Trae percentage-wise right now? Because listen, you're talking about a foot, ankle, bone bruise. What percentage would you put him at right now?
I put him at 60. I think the last game they showed him before the game practicing, he looked like he was in pain the whole, time trying to do a drill. So I think he's at 60%. All he got to do is give you, it could be a decoy tonight, kind of like how Harden was in Game 5. I would play it like that. Let them be the decoy. Let them focus in on him and let Bojanovic and all them other guys knock down their shots.
Yeah, so in Game 5, that was the game I thought they were going to lose. I thought Milwaukee was losing that game. And it shocked me. First of all, when the hell did Brook Lopez become a low post player again? Like, when did that pill get taken?
But he kind of started doing it a little bit against the Nets.
A little bit. But he was exclusively, down in the paint, posting up. I was like, whoa, I haven't seen this since, Brooklyn. This is crazy. We mentioned Bobby Portis. You're without Giannis, which I think actually kind of frees up the offense a little bit more. And I think you hate to say this because it's his team, but without Giannis, I feel like that offense has more room to move and the ball moves a little bit more and it doesn't just stop, except when Drew Holiday has the ball. But besides that, the ball just doesn't stop. And I feel like that's a benefit to Milwaukee tonight, I think.
It is. But if this somehow goes to Game 7 without Giannis, oh man.
If there's a Game 7, he's playing. I can guarantee that. Right?
He's going to Willis Reed it.
Yeah.
Marv Albert.
Last Marv Albert game. Giannis. Marv is still my guy. Mm-hmm. But Marv is turning into Jim Ross a little bit. Little slow.
Be dynamite.
Marv is he's starting to feel the age now. He's starting Marv is getting up there. So what happens tonight, you think? Game 6? Does Milwaukee end it, or will there be a Game 7?
I think Hawks force a Game 7, win a tight one. I think it's going to be a tight game throughout.
Now, with that said, I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Jason Cordner. You said Game 7. Mm-hmm. Who wins Game 7 if it goes to Game 7?
I think they would riot in Deer District if the Bucks do not win Game 7. So I will vote with confidence that the Bucks do win this in 7.
If the Bucks don't win this series,
Budenholzer getting fired.
That was my question.
Tuesday, because he escaped the Nets series. He won't escape this one. If he don't win this one, even without Giannis, yeah.
So in order for Coach Bud to keep his job, he needs to win the Eastern Conference.
Especially, remember, he has a 3-2 lead now. So that means you get 5 and 6. So yeah, I think it's about coaching for these next 2 games.
Interesting. So that's tonight at 8:30. Starts about 5 minutes. Turn the game on in front of you, and then have a song in the background will be your soundtrack for a half hour. There was an actual rumor going around about Ben Simmons. I know Ben Simmons met with Philadelphia 76er brass last week to talk about his future in Philly. Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey saying all the right things, even though Doc kind of fucked up the first time. They want to keep him. They want to work with him. But there was a trade offer reportedly from Indiana that was for a first-round draft pick and Malcolm Brogdon for Ben Simmons.
I would have took that.
Okay, you would have took that trade?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Malcolm is exactly what if the Bucks had Malcolm last year, they're coming out the East. If the Sixers have Malcolm next year, they're right back at it, top seed in the East. I think he's a great underappreciated point guard, and he's exactly what Philadelphia needs.
Well, I'm bringing up the draft order right now because I'm curious where they would stand. It was first round draft pick this year,
which is like 13 or 14.
13.
Yeah.
So Malcolm Brogdon and the 13th pick, which, I mean, in this draft, 13, you're gonna get a role player. You're not gonna get a guy who's gonna be an all-star. You're gonna get someone who's gonna be a good piece.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I would have took that trade too. I feel like the Ben Simmons experiment's gotta end now. I think it's done. I think it's over. You tried. The process in his case did not work. Start over. I think Brogdon is that guy. I think Brogdon, he could shoot, he could pass. He's not afraid to shoot or pass or anything. And I think they need that. I think they need a aggressive point guard who can get the ball to Embiid, but when the focus shifts to him, he can make the shot. Exactly. And I think they need that. And they need a point guard. They don't need a point forward. They need a point guard. So,
yeah. Which is kind of weird that they didn't make that trade because I don't know what they think the market is for him.
Well, I feel like they think the market's like, oh my God, it's Ben Simmons. Like we're going to give up the world for Ben Simmons, forgetting what we all just watched 2 weeks ago, and forgetting that for every game he played, his trade value kept dropping and dropping and dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Sixers, that their ass is going to be ridiculous, and they're going to get desperate and just take anything, and it's going to be a shitty trade for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for the trade where they're like, oh well, we made a good move, and you look at the trade like, why we get this guy? Why we get Giannis's brother? That's what that trade's going to be like. So that's be interesting to see. Bill Simmons brought up a question this week in his podcast. I think it was Thursday when he talked with Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated, and he mentioned Kyrie. Now I haven't thought about the Nets in like 2 weeks. Haven't crossed my mind at all. But he asked Chris Mannix, did he believe that Kyrie would be a Net next season? Which is an interesting question because I'm like, because the Nets weren't completely happy with Kyrie this year at various points.
Between not showing up and the saging of other arenas and all that stuff.
Not talking to media and then getting fined for it too. So I think it's a legitimate question. Like, how much more are the Nets willing to take from Kyrie? And is this a relationship kind of repairable? Because they're saying the right things in public. They're kind of doing the public stance, like everything's all well. But you have a guy who just kind of doesn't give a shit.
It's kind of questionable because any other organization, this is where it becomes where you got to know your worth as an organization. Anywhere else, they would probably think about trading Kyrie and getting good pieces for him, predominantly a big man. But because of the Nuts, I feel like they're going to be so worried of what Kevin Durant thinks because they can't let Kevin Durant go. Kevin Durant is the prettiest girl they have seen since Jason Kidd. So it's like it's one of those, it's one of those circumstances where you don't want to piss off Kevin Durant or Harden because it seems like they're all in this together. So I say give it one more year. Let's see what happens next year. If they don't come out the East next year, then you have to make a change.
Well, next year are they all option years for all three of them next year? After next year?
I don't know about Harden, but I know KD and Kyrie is.
Well, bring that up. I just find it difficult as a GM to know you have a player who. I'm gonna phrase this correctly. Basketball is not everybody's first priority, and
right.
I think you and I both know that it's not. But he's just kind of. It's such a blasé thing about it, where it's like you almost wish he cared a little bit more. And he's someplace else. And I love Kyrie for that reason, because he's on this higher level of thinking and very charitable and always thinking bigger picture than what you can't say that about a lot of players in any sport. But to a point, is he overthinking himself? Is he doing too much? Is he being extra for the sake of being extra?
I think so, because you know what? It's funny you say that, because most people treat their jobs as a way to fund their side hustle, and it seems like he's doing the opposite or reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be problematic, especially where you're not, when you're not available to perform. You got to be available, and I think, I think next season is going to be more of a spotlight on him to see how he behaves, how he conducts himself, And then, and then it goes to Steve Nash. He didn't really lay down the hammer on this guy. I think next year he's going to have to. If he want to keep his job. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Nets brass treat Kyrie, because we said this, especially going in how well the Knicks played. We got to big up the Knicks as always. This couldn't have happened at the Garden between Tibbs and Leon. There's no way this could have happened over there.
Oh, he been traded. It been like some Billy Bean Moneyball shit. He been traded right away. 10 seconds, like you're out. I'm done. Well, so Harden, Durant, and Irving all have option years after next season.
Woo!
So they could, in reality, they could lose all three guys, not because they didn't want them, but because they didn't want to be there no more.
Right. So it's make or break next year.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's a very interesting thing to see.
Question for you though: who you think has a more chance of not or not returning to their team between Kyrie and Kawhi? I think Kawhi's out.
I think Kawhi's out too. I think I feel like Kawhi's out. PG stays because I feel like based on how he performed,
he did enough where it's not his fault.
Yeah, and based on how he performed, I feel like they're gonna soup his head up. Like, oh yeah, you ran this team, you led this team to this point. Let's run it back with some new pieces. It's your team, and it's gonna fall apart. So it's going to happen. But Kawhi's definitely out. Kyrie stays. Now after next season, I have no idea what happens after that with those three guys.
Worst case, Durant could just cross the bridge. They did add a bicycle lane in the Brooklyn Bridge, so he can just take a bike.
Well, the problem with 22-23 is 47, 42, 36. That's their salaries for 22-23. So you're going to be in a hole. So do my quick math here, because I'm terrible at math. About 124 million in a hole to start with just those three guys. So 22-23 season. You still got Joe Harris for now. DeAndre Jordan's still on the books till then, unless that happens. Shamet has a team option for 5.5. Dinwiddie's gone already. Alize Johnson apparently signed through 2022, 2023. So he got a job.
Here's a lukewarm hot take that no one else is up on yet.
Right.
If the Nets don't win the championship next year, the big 3 year is done. It'll be a 2-year window, and that was it.
Yeah. I don't think they come back for a third time. Or in Harden's case, 2 years.
If they don't get out the East. If they do not get out the East, they're done. It's over.
But I feel like I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt for next season, because I feel like Harden comes back in better shape. He's not going to get fat and hang out strip clubs all off season. Kyrie's been off. I feel like he might take it a little more seriously next year, because NBA is going to hit him up, be like, you need to cut this shit out. This needs to end.
Mm-hmm.
And KD's KD. I feel like KD's going to come out and be like, I need to prove something now, even more so than this year. But like you said, next year's it. Like this is done. Like you got this year and only this year to prove yourself. And if they don't, the Nets start from scratch again for the second time.
With no draft picks.
It really feels like Pierce and Garnett all over again.
Little bit, but yeah, a little bit.
Talking local, we're gonna talk about the Knicks for a second. They have 19 and 21 in the draft. There has been talk about the Knicks possibly either moving up or trading those draft picks and or a player to get another piece to add to the team. If you're Leon, Worldwide West, what would you do with those two picks? And not just those picks, but the picks in the second round, the first round picks you got. What do you do? Do you draft someone now? Do you say, you know what, we need to go all in here. Let's trade these picks and get somebody else?
I would probably. Well, it depends who you're going to try to get. It all depends who's available, who you're going to try to get. You know, we hearing them talks about Dame. I don't know how Portland's going to feel about sending Dame to the Knicks for just for a couple of number ones and role players. So I don't know. I don't know what the market is looking right now. Worst case, see what you could draft, see what you can do to help the team.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this today. The problem becomes their rotation, because they're going to re-sign Alec Burks. I feel like you got to bring him back. I definitely feel like D Rose will probably
come back,
get re-signed. I think unless the team really overpays and you say, forget it, we don't want you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Rotation-wise, you're pretty much set. So I feel like you drafting two players, and I think you have two second-rounders, it's kind of pointless. So I feel like you have these picks, and bring up the picks for the future as well, because I think this kind of goes to you obviously need another piece to compete in the East. So you got to kind of pull the trigger. So I want to go to next year. Sorry, 2023. 2023, you have the two picks, the Knicks own, and then you have the Mavericks pick, which is top 10 protected. And then you have 3 second-round picks in 2023. 2024, you got 1 first-rounder, and you got 5 second-round picks.
Okay.
All right. And then, I mean, if you want to go even further, you got, 2026, 2 second-round picks. So you have something. You have some room to wiggle with. Why not go to Portland and go, listen, we'll give you 19, we'll give you 21, we'll give you Obi, and we'll give you a first-round pick in 2023. Unprotected.
I'll probably throw another pick in after that as well, but hey.
Or a second round, or another second-round pick.
I would do it. I would do that. Because at this point, all you're pretty much doing either way, even if you keep the draft picks, you're just acquiring assets. Because you're gonna move with some of these guys eventually to get a star. So
now obviously it can't just be a Lillard trade for all that. But I would go, okay, we'll give you 1921, a first round in 2023. We'll give you 2 second rounders, pick whatever year, one year, one the other year, for Dame Lillard, and I will say give us Anthony Simmons and Dame Lillard. Okay. Another young guard, you pair him up with quickly, you see, survival of the fittest.
Yep.
And you see what that. I think that makes sense. And if you're Portland, you get that cachet of picks that you're gonna need, because eventually you're gonna have to start over again, because once you get rid of Dame, you fall down to maybe 8th or 9th in the West.
Well, once you get rid of Dame, then you're gonna look to get rid of McCollum and get some assets from him as well. Essentially, once you get rid of Dame, you become the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, they're on a different level. They're on a whole. It's funny you play 2K21, which I stopped playing because now I'm like, now I don't care. I'm waiting for 2K22. You look at them and there's like those rosters that people make, and all the draft picks are like right on point. It's like they have 3 first rounders this year, 3 first rounders next year, 1, 2, 3, 4 in 2023. 3 in 2024, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 in 2025, 3 in 2026. Like this, and I didn't talk about the second round picks because they got a whole bunch of second round picks too. Do you just keep that if you're the Thunder, or do you go, you know what, we got all these picks, let's just kind of figure out what we're gonna get in this draft, and then let's just kind of package some of these picks up and go, okay, we need a good young player to put with these draft picks, and really let's start winning some games.
I think the Thunder are stealing the Nets' old playbook, where they're just going to get on bad, they're going to acquire bad assets like, Kemba Walker. I feel like that's where contracts go to die. They're going to go to Oklahoma, and then they're going to eventually cash in all these picks and get themselves a blue chipper, a la LeBron's son in a couple of years. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to cash in these draft picks eventually. They're not going to.
Well, we didn't talk about the Kemba Walker trade last time we were on because I think we were talking about other stuff. There's a lot going on that week. Mm-hmm. The Kemba Walker trade gives them another asset to trade to get more draft capital because that's another bad contract you can probably hold on to, like they did with Chris Paul for a year, and say, okay, he's in the final year of his contract, take him. So that's just another guy that can kind of move eventually.
Yep. He's not going to be long for Oklahoma City. No,
I don't think anybody wants to be long in Oklahoma City. But what are your thoughts about that trade, Kemba Walker for essentially Al Horford?
I thought Boston was desperate to get rid of him, and they was like, hey, let's get Horford back.
Yeah, I get it. It was a salary dump.
Let you know what your coach thinks about you, though.
Your coach became president of the team.
Yeah.
And first week, right? It was inside the first week they just moved him like, yeah, we're done here. But Boston they're going to be a middling team in the East. I don't think Boston's ever really going to compete for
that window closed.
No, it closed back, and I feel bad for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown because that's it. Like this is done. Al Horford probably gets you to number 6 in the East, but I think that's it. I think that's as far as you're going to go at this point. But I feel bad for those guys. Shout out to Brad Stevens and Mayor because I think he's screwed. I feel really bad for him. Another topic: Patrick Beverley. Tough guy or bitch? What are your thoughts?
That was such a bitch move what he did. He's a tough. And I was riding for him most of the game, but you don't push nobody in the back at the end of the game, especially when he didn't see it coming. God forbid he would have fallen the wrong way, and then there would have been Russell Westbrook 2.0 all over again. Mm-hmm. So he really got to be careful about that. I expect he's going to get suspended a few games, start the next season.
Oh, no. He got one game.
Just one game they gave him?
He got one game for next season.
Damn. NBA
Which I'm like, what are you going to do for like 5 or 10? Like, that's, like you said, he pushing from behind. Like, that's some bullshit.
Yeah. Wow. One game. Wow.
I don't get it.
I was expecting 10, but wow.
Nope. One game. Which Beverly was popping hella shit the entire series.
Yeah.
Chris Paul just glanced at him.
For once, he didn't say anything. He
didn't say nothing. Just looked at him. And Patrick Beverly got mad and pushed him. I'm like, yo, like, you've been popping shit the whole time. Like, you've been talking so much shit since this series started. Chris Paul looks at you and you flip out. Like, I don't understand it.
I don't understand that. And one more thing about the Clippers real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Cousins. Did you hear him at the end of the game?
Oh, God.
He said, this is why no one F's with you. In my head, I was like, how could he say that when they voted him president of the basketball union? I just thought it was kind of weird that he said that.
Wait. About Chris Paul?
He said that about Chris Paul, yeah. He was
for what?
At the sidelines, I think when Chris Paul was shooting his final free throw, he said something about bitch made. This is why no one F's with you. And I was like, but they voted him president of the association. But whatever. I just thought it was kind of odd when he said it.
Listen, DeMarcus Cousins is feeling himself because he got some burn, played decently, feels like he can get another $100 million contract from someone.
Good luck
so
with that. Someone's gonna give him money though, but good luck with that.
No, he was feeling himself. So I will give him that. That's it though. That's bullshit. Anyway, did you watch any of the draft combine this week?
No, I missed it.
So I watched a little. It's like the NFL combine. You can watch for like 10 minutes and then like I'm done. The player shocked me, and I saw him play in the tournament because I was covering them for the Jersey Sporting News.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Grimes from Houston, the team that beat Rutgers, which I didn't think much of when he played Rutgers. I was like, he's all right. He's not great.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really good in the combine to the point where I'm like, you know what? If the Knicks do keep 19, Cameron Grimes might fall there, or Book Knight from UConn, which I like Book Knight a lot. But I think Cameron Grimes might be, if the Knicks keep that 19th pick or 21 or whatever, Grimes could be that guy. That would be a good bench piece. He can shoot really well. And I think he stayed in college for all 3 years, not the full 4. Actually, no, 4. He played the first year at Kansas and the last 3 at Houston.
It's funny you mention that because I think a lot of mock drafts have the Knicks looking at the guys they're looking at have played like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the guy from Oregon. They're looking at him. I think he played 3 to 4 years, and there was somebody else they were looking at. I can't remember who.
Yeah, no, Book Knight is like talked about a lot, which I'm like, I didn't watch a lot of UConn. But whenever I watch Sports Night, SNY, for those of you who aren't from our area, SNY, New York Sports Station, whenever I saw a UConn highlight, James Book Knight was always on that highlight. He was the guy for, is it Danny Hurley who coaches UConn? Or Danny Hurley. Bobby Hurley coaches Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
But I think either one of those guys could be good for the Knicks if they keep the picks, which I really kind of hope they don't. I kind of hope they trade them. I don't want to see them get someone like Grimes and he gets no playing time.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. So this is the main event. I've been waiting for this. So shout out to CH. Give comments to Keep Grinding Brothers. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Main event. NCAA passes NIL bylaws. So players can officially profit name, image, and likeness. They can make money. And De'Aaron King, University of Miami quarterback, got an endorsement deal from College Hunks Moving Stuff. So that was the first one. I know Barstool Sports, they have their own like marketing department now, and they're starting to sign not like football players or like basketball players, but like softball, field hockey, swimming. They got their own marketing company going on.
Shout out to the girls at Fresno State. They just copped a deal. I forgot who was with. Oh man, there's 2 girls, twin sisters. They just got an endorsement deal. I want to say it was Doritos, maybe somebody else. I can't remember who, but I'll look it up. But yeah, there's a lot of deals going out there. Master P's son, who's going I think it's Louisville.
Yeah.
He's got a deal on the table. Man, these kids are gonna come in first day of school next year with the Ferraris, with the Teslas.
But listen, it was. I can't even give the NCAA any credit for this because they were kind of forced to do it.
They were forced to do it. Their
hand was forced because the Supreme Court pretty much said, "Yo, you guys are kind of running a little foul right now, and you guys know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. So for you to say this is amateurism and sport, no. You're not for profit." And I think that people forget that point. I feel like people don't remember that. They're like Scientology. They're not for profit organization, but they're making a buttload of fucking money. So not even give the kids money, let the kids make some money.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I feel like the NCAA just didn't want to give them money, but this is like their kind of workaround. Like, well, we'll let them make money on their own, but we're still not going to give them anything. I think that was their workaround to kind of solve this problem. I
totally agree. Somebody asked me a great question that someone asked me, who all time top 3, who you think would have made the most money had they been able to do this in college? And
Shaq.
See, it's funny you say Shaq. I think Shaq is probably my 4th. I think number 1 would probably be Reggie Bush.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Tebow.
Reggie Bush. I had Zion 3, but now you have me thinking about Shaq. Shaq would have made a killing back in the days with this.
Well, Johnny Manziel came out and said, "Oh, I would have made a bag doing this." I'm like, didn't you take money anyway? Didn't you make a bag regardless? Like you illegally took money anyway. So this means nothing for you. I'm just curious about. I think football players more so than basketball players will make more money, but I do think in the ACC schools that money's going to flow for Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, the Blue Bloods. Those players are going to make the bank. No one else though. Those are only schools.
Calipari probably got his own marketing team ready right now too.
Yeah, no, he probably already paying guys. It's interesting to see how fast these players moved. Almost like they knew ahead of time before Supreme Court ruled that, oh shit, they're gonna lose this case. Let's put some plans in motion. So I'm happy about it. My only concern is that this is gonna leave the NCAA off the hook.
It is.
And they're gonna be like, well, they're making their money, so we don't have to do anything else.
It's funny you mentioned it because I don't know if you heard the rumor for NCAA for football game next year. They're trying to find a way to actually have real players so they can get paid.
I think now is the time to do it. I think if that's the case, and I feel like that might actually help their sales a little bit. I feel like if you have legit players with their name and likeness in the game, you're going to get guys from Alabama. You're going to get fans of Notre Dame buying that game more because college football never really made any money. I don't think, besides college hoops 2K8, I think really any EA basketball game for college didn't do anything. It was trash.
Yep.
I think if you add their likeness, I feel like you definitely make more money doing it that way.
So I think that's what they're working on. They just want to make sure the players get paid for it.
And I think EA said they wanted to do it before, but the NCAA said, no, we can't do that. And that's why EA settled first. EA was like, we'll pay you guys right now. We'll give you $30 million, take it, whatever. And that's what coming back to college football because we're good. We want to do the right thing. NCAA are the ones who are just like, no, we don't. We want to keep the money for ourselves. BYU, Brigham Young University in the great town of, I think it's Provo, Utah, said the policy of the NIL must adhere to the school's honor code, which include not having sex with girls in college, which is weird to me in general. And I think this is where it becomes kind of weird. You have schools like BYU. You got schools like Liberty, the really, really Christian school in D1 now.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame with their high expectations and high GPAs. How is this going to affect schools like that? Are they going to get with the program, or are they going to be guys like either you let us do this or we're going to leave?
It's definitely going to be a lot of either you let us do this or we leave. So yeah, this gonna harp for those kind of schools. Shout out to St. John, you're on the list as well. But yeah, it's definitely gonna harp on them because it's like it's like the whole thing with COVID now, where like some schools are mandating you get the vaccine and some aren't. And I feel like I can see a BYU and Notre Dame be like, listen, man, if you want to get paid for your likeness, just you can't be on our team. Like you could transfer somewhere else, and they wouldn't have a problem because they want to uphold their tradition. So that could be problematic. It could be Chick-fil-A all over again.
That'd be great, Chick-fil-A. All right, so last topic. We mentioned it earlier. Jim Ross, famed wrestling announcer, now currently working for AEW, called AEW Dynamite. WWE Dynamite came out, said that was inexcusable. He apologized. I honestly still haven't watched it from Wednesday. It's on my DVR. I'm probably gonna watch it tonight. Was it as bad as everyone said it was?
It was pretty bad. It was like, if WWE needed anything, a good shot in the arm, it was definitely that.
Listen, I love JR. JR is like Marv Albert. JR is a little long in the tooth. He seems kind of not knowing what's happening sometimes. I get it. But that's egregious. You can't do that. Come on, man.
There's a reason why the King is not on any WWE weekly programming anymore.
Yeah, you really
gotta
can't do
move
that.
on. JR should be in the back. He shouldn't be on the commentating anymore.
So I want to go back to WWE for a second too, because I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and it seems as if everybody's waiting for Roman Reigns to lose the title. But no one knows to who. Everyone's like, who's going to be the person? Now, I want to get your thought because I know you love the Roman Reigns angle with him and the Usos and the bloodline. Who should be that person? Should it be a Cena? Should it be a Lesnar, whatever, insert old guy here? Or should it be a young guy who's on the come up to get that rub?
See, it's funny you mention that because I thought the plan all along was for him to drop it to probably Big E in next year's WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing, they're going to move Big E back to Raw with the New Days, even though he's still going to maintain a single push. So they're kind of like dangling him and Lashley, which I'm for that as well. If that happens, you know what they're going to go with. I think Drew's going to SmackDown, and I think that's going to be the feud. Mm. And if he doesn't drop it, then yeah, it's either Drew or Seth. He's going to drop it in one of those two.
Do you foresee? I know. Did you see Karrion Kross's entrance without Scarlett for main event last week?
I did, and they're talking about moving him up as well, and he'll be good. I heard they're moving him and the other guy, the big guy who just dropped
Bronson Reed.
They're both coming up, and I think Kross will be good on the main roster. I don't know if he's going to be a main event player.
Well, they're talking about breaking him and Scarlett up,
which is dumb.
So he had the intro main event without Scarlett, without any type of smoke. It's just him cold walking out with his music playing. I'm like, fuck, what is happening?
Vince doing Vince things.
Listen, and he was in the Performance Center, I think yesterday, said. Him, Bruce Pritchard, the CEO who's firing everybody. They were at the PC just watching. I'm like, Tommaso Ciampa's probably like homesick just in case. Making sure he doesn't get called. So I feel bad for those call-ups because they're screwed. Last but not least, man, happy birthday to Mama Cordner, bro.
Appreciate that. Turned the big 8-0. Living a life like it's golden. Still out here moving around, talking about she wants to go to a tropical island real soon. You know, survived COVID. She's out here having a good time.
Mama Cordner, 80 years old. So shout out to her. Happy birthday. 80 more. Advances in medical science.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So, Jason, always a great show, bro.
Likewise.
So I'm going to keep up with the NIL stuff because I'm very curious about some of these deals these athletes are making, like college hunks moving junk. I found that hilarious when I woke up the other morning and saw that. I was like, that's a damn good sponsorship deal. I like that.
And shout out to all the agents and all those new agents about to happen now because you figured out of high school now, you're going to want to grab an agent.
Yeah, an agent or hold on, a marketing representative.
Oh, yeah,
Can't do agents. Can't do agents yet. That's still against NCAA rules, apparently. I don't know their rules. That's ridiculous. So, thank you for watching. If you listen to the podcast, ignore the first 2 minutes of the show because you didn't hear me. So, there you go. Just fast forward 2 minutes ahead. Fast forward is good shit. We'll be back on our normal day on Thursday at 8 p.m. here on the Just Hoop Talk YouTube channel. For Jason Cordner, I'm Kahlil Thomas. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're on podcast, we'll talk to you. We can't talk about it. We'll talk to you on Thursday, 8 p.m. Peace.
Peace.